Hello everyone, welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program video. Today we are going to be doing our first mission to the planet Eve. Although we're not going to be landing on Eve, we are going to be landing on, of course, one of its moons, Gilly, or its only moon, really. Now, Gilly is a very small planetary object, or moon. It can't even really be classified as a moon. Because it's so small. It's more of a captured asteroid. It has very low surface gravity. It's one of my favorite places to visit. It's very, very easy to land on. Very easy to get to. A general rule of thumb is if your rocket can get to the Mun, it can get to Gilly. So this rocket is not going to be very big. It's very simple, no nuclear engines, no ion engines, just straight up chemical rockets. And even this rocket is way overkill. We have thousands of meters per second of delta V at the end of this, so you really could do this with a far smaller rocket, but hey, I like building big rockets. You can see that we're using the skipper and mainsail engines. I really like these engines. I don't use them nearly as much as I really should. I didn't really like them, but now that they have been retextured, I guess it's been a while since 1.9, but I love how they look now. And, you know, a lot of people just use, like, mammoths and vectors and stuff, but, you know, that's boring after a while. So, you know, you gotta use some more exciting engines. So this mission is going to be played by Jeb and I think Bob, maybe Bill. Again, this is a sandbox save, so we aren't going to be bringing any science experiments, although if you'd like to copy this design and place your own science experiments, you are welcome to do that. You know, this rocket is way overkill. You could, you know, place as much science and science experiments as you want. It really wouldn't affect at all the performance of the rocket. Unfortunately, all of our previous missions to other planetary bodies have pretty much been canceled out because when I was loading up the save to do this mission, I got, you know, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced it. By the way, here's the rocket. We'll get ready to launch. When I was loading up this world to play and to build the rocket here, I got a corrupted save message. Not really a message, but if you've ever had a corrupted save, you know what I'm talking about, where it just doesn't load. And I went to do the standard renaming of the quick save file, and I realized I have never saved in this. I've only made quick saves during missions, and the only one I had was persistent, which was corrupted, of course. So all of our missions are sort of canceled. Of course, it doesn't really matter because we are playing on sandbox, so it's not like, you know, a science mode is you know, or it's not like our tech tree's gone or whatever. Although if you guys would like me to play on a science mode save, I could totally do that. Just, you know, let me know. So here we are. We've done our circularization burn around the planet Kerbin. You can see me opening up the mod transfer window planner there. I would totally recommend this mod. It's super easy to use. It just basically lays out your transfer windows. So totally recommend it. Would absolutely use this. I don't quite remember the Eve transfer window, but you can just sort of eyeball it from this video. Eve's supposed to be actually behind Kerbin. It's one of the few transfer windows where it's behind it. So you can see we get a rough even counter, and we'll just burn with our engine. This is sort of a single stage to orbit. It probably could be. All we have ditched so far is the solid rocket boosters. But we probably could have gotten to orbit even without those. So, you know, it's a cool little rocket. So we have a rough encounter, or not even quite. I think we lost our encounter there. But not a big deal. And with Eve, because of its inclination, you're going to pretty much always have to do some sort of, you know, interplanetary plane change to adjust your inclination when coming on Eve, especially with Gilly. Now, I did make a mistake here, and so there is going to be a little cut. You can see I'm entering Eve's orbit on the wrong side, and I think I just cut to the other clip when I'm already on the other side and reloaded a quick save. But make sure you're orbiting Eve if you're trying to land on Gilly, the same way Gilly is orbiting. If you enter the wrong way, you're not going to be able to land, because even if you circularize around Eve, you're going to be going the opposite direction as Gilly. So just, do what I say, not as I do. So here we are, circularizing around Eve. As you can see, I already said I entered the other way, and I reloaded this quick save, and you can very clearly see that I am now on the other side because I did the burn the other way. So we're trying to get an encounter with Gilly, and we got it, but getting an encounter with Gilly is kind of difficult. Gilly's sphere of influence is incredibly small. You can, get to escape trajectory very easily, even with just a few puffs of the EVA pack from a Kerbal. That's how small Gilly's gravity well is. So we've ditched that, and we are on this engine for the rest of the mission. Not a big deal, though. As I said, landing on Gilly is incredibly easy. It's more like docking, really, than landing. If you want to call it landing, there is gravity there, but you're sort of just, your ship will bounce off the surface. It will slide around. It's not really landing per se. I guess it's possible to crash on Gilly, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody successfully do any sort of major crashes on Duna. So you can see that maneuver node there. We're circularizing around the moon Gilly, and we are going to descend for our landing. I do have landing legs on this craft, although it's not totally necessary. You really don't need landing legs. And you can see I've actually, right there, I actually overshot my burn so much that I actually entered escape trajectory on the other side. I completely reversed my orbit. So I did something a little stupid here. You can sort of see my on my nav ball, it's still set relative to orbit, and I should have set it relative to target. So I'm sort of confused here for a few seconds why I'm why my retrograde vector is in the totally wrong spot. And in a couple seconds, I eventually realize, oh yeah, I need to set it to surface. But again, it's not at all a big deal because Gilly's surface gravity is so incredibly small that, it's practically irrelevant to, which way. I did not need landing gear on this mission. Really, you don't if you want to biome hop on Gilly, you don't even need an engine, to get more science from different biomes. You can sort of just, put a couple reaction wheels on your craft and sort of fling yourself around Gilly. So we have finally landed here, and of course Jebediah will plant his flag on the surface of Gilly. And since I didn't bring a rover, and this is sandbox, so no science, I sort of wanted to fly around. I have actually, orbited Gilly with a Kerbal and then deorbited. But this is the nose cone that we ditched from our lander earlier because, we only needed it to exit Kerbin's atmosphere, and then we only decoupled it after we were on our descent from Gilly. So Jebediah gets to play his favorite game of space nose cone soccer here, batting around the nose cone. Who will win? And he gets bored with that. And here I decided to see if I could get to escape trajectory, which I promptly did twice. And we are now descending towards the lander to take off back from Gilly because Jeb is tired and bored and he wants to go home back to Kerbin. So he gets in the lander and we immediately take off, retracting those landing gear, and we are already on escape trajectory out of Gilly. Now I'm going to do something weird here that's sort of counterintuitive. So there's a thing called the Oberth effect, where you're going fastest at a periapse around any body of a large mass, and Eve's very large, right? So if we actually burn retrograde relative to our orbit and lower our periapse around Eve, as I'm doing here, we'll be going very fast at that periapse, and our burn will be more efficient, so we can go home. So counterintuitively, we would actually have spent more delta V if we didn't, burn the opposite direction and go straight home from Kerbin. We actually wanted to lower our periapse low to Eve, And there is the beautiful purple planet. We will return one day. Eventually, we will come back and land on the beautiful Eve. Not today, but someday. That is a tutorial for another day. We are not quite at that level. We've landed on Minmus, the Mun, Duna, and now Gilly. Eve is quite a ways off. I'm thinking next we will probably do something like Lathe, Bop, or Pole, somewhere in the Joule system. I could do Moho, but Moho takes an incredible amount of Delta V, so not quite there yet. We could do it because it's a simple mission. It just requires a very large amount of Delta V. So you can see here we are coming into Kerbin, lowering our Kerbin periaps. Again, as with my previous videos, we are not coming in at any sort of equatorial orbit because I'm too lazy to do an interplanetary plane change. So we're just going to be entering Kerbin anywhere on the planet, but we are on the light side this time. I've learned my lesson. And here we are, re-entering Kerbin's atmosphere. Oh, those beautiful aerodynamic effects. And I know Jeb is happy to be home, and we are coming in hot. Fortunately, in this game, the heat shields are far, far overpowered, so no need to worry there. We have our parachutes opened, and we are now on descent to the seabed. Little cut there, almost about to splash down, and they have returned from Gilly. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know where you guys want to see me go, and enjoy your day. Thanks, guys.